G'day guys, welcome back to Rig It Up. Today is a special day. We're taking the small turbo off and gonna go into the big turbo upgrade. We'll just get started, taking the small turbo off and getting the big turbo on. Well guys, this is a water to air intercooler. If you haven't seen one before, have a look inside. So it's similar to an air to air, just as water going through it rather than air. I personally prefer front mount intercoolers like air to air, but the car came with this water to air intercooler, so I'm just going to stick with it for now. Looks like it's in pretty good condition, so yeah, I'm just going to put this on the new turbo setup. Just a little bit more in depth with the water to air intercooler. You've got your coolant intake there, and it has two pipes running either side of it. And basically it's circulating through a pump, which is located down here. Just that there. So that's the pump for it. And basically it pumps the coolant through this PWR radiator here. So it's quite large, and it does have a fan connected to it as well. So look, I've been on a few four-wheel driving trips. It's done a pretty good job. So like I said, I'm just going to be incorporating this water to air intercooler into my new turbo setup. These manifold bolts, they've been sitting there for a while. They get hot, they expand, they get cold, they contract. So guys, it's important that you spray these bolts with some sort of lubricant like WD-40, just to loosen them up a little bit so you don't snap any bolts. Another important tip guys, when you're taking off manifolds, make sure you take the hardest bolts to get off first, just because if you take all of the other bolts off first and then go ahead and take the last one off, you're going to find it really hard to reach back there and hold the weight of the manifold at the same time. So always start closest to the firewall, and then you can do whatever you want after that. Well guys, here it is, the small turbo next to the big boy turbo. Look at the size difference guys. It is absolutely massive. It's going to make some awesome dosey noises and some nice boost. So it's going to be a pretty decent upgrade, I think. All right, well, let's get her on. Absolutely massive guys compared to the old one. So now I've just got to connect the oil lines and also get these intercooler pipes on them. I'm going to try and work out something. So I come up this way and then somewhat tuck up in there, trying to mount the intercooler somewhere here. I don't know, we'll work it out guys. Made a bit of a mess here. What I'm going to do anyway is just service the car, just because the oil's looking pretty black. And I might as well drain the oil so I can take off that line and then put the new one on. So guys, when I went to peak, I had a bit of backfiring going up the sand dunes. I've decided to just change the spark plugs at the same time as well, just to avoid any future backfire. It should also help the new turbo setup run efficiently as well. These are your coils basically, and they are on top of the spark plugs, which send from the distributor an electric signal to spark in that cylinder. Just like that, pops off, You just keep working your way down. Okay, so that's all the coils that have been pulled out. Just like that. And then down there, and if you can see, try and get the focus on there. This little socket here I've got on the attachment on the extension is good because it has a magnet on the inside there, and it basically just helps pull the spark plug out so you don't have to keep trying to retrieve it when it drops. So yeah, get yourself one of these and you get the spark plugs out really easy. When you take out a spark plug, replace it straight away with the new one, just so you don't forget which ones you've already done and which ones you haven't. So before going on to the rest of them, I'm just going to put this new one straight into place of this old one, just so I know that I've already done it. Alright guys, turbo is on, spark plugs replaced, new oil, new filter. So I think it's time that we get the piping on this thing and see if we can start it. Guys, here it is. I'd say about 95% done. So this is what I've done with the intercooler piping. Yes, it looks a bit funny, but that's what you got to do on a budget. I could do a front mount, but that would be a lot of effort. I'd have to take the battery out. So for now, this will do, and it gives it room for that pipe just to come in for the snorkel. So I've just got that set up temporarily, just so we can start it and see if there's any leaks or anything like that. So there's no dirt that's going to go in the turbo. So let's set it up and start her up. So the exhaust isn't on, guys. It's going to be pretty loud. All right, here we go.
But deliver us.
Well guys, now that the turbo setup is looking awesome and pretty much done, just going to do the exhaust. Got a feeling the exhaust is going to be quite a big job. Basically, as much as the 3-inch lines up with the existing exhaust, the flanges don't exactly line up. So I might have to do a bit of welding, a bit of cutting to make it work. I've also got to tap in some sensors to the new exhaust. So let's get straight into that. This sensor here was tapped in to the exhaust there, which I've got out. That was threaded into there. So basically, I'm gonna have to drill out a similar size hole in the new exhaust and then tap this thread into the new exhaust in order to get that sensor in there. Change of plans. I couldn't find a thread tapper that matches this thread. So I found a nut that matches. And I'm basically just gonna weld this nut on there and then drill a hole through. Both the sensors on now, guys. O2 sensor there and temp sensor just down there. So now I've just got to put the other pipe on and weld it up. Guys, head over to rigitupstore.com and get your Rig It Up merch. We've got these Rig It Up shirts with the Rig It Up logo. We've also got these gnarly hats, many different colors and varieties, very comfortable. The gnarly is embroidered into the hat, so it's high quality. It'll keep the sun out of your face and off your skin for the upcoming summer in Australia. We've got so much merch available. We've got hats, we've got shirts, we've got gnarly shirts, we've got hoodies, and we've got singlets as well. Go ahead onto rigitupstore.com and get your Rig It Up merch to support the channel. So I've just got the exhaust temporarily bolted on, not tight, just sitting there, just so I can get an idea of the position. So basically, as you can see here, guys, it doesn't line up. And I'm gonna have to move this bracket somewhere because it's getting in the way. Yeah, so basically, I'm gonna have to weld some kind of attachment here, or cut off the flange from the old one and bolt it up, but do some welding at the same time. So see what we can do. so this is the old exhaust here, guys. You can see that it met up there and then continued on to the dump pipe. So I'm going to have to cut about there and then basically weld that flange to there so it matches up with that flange on the new exhaust, if that makes sense. Okay, so you've got the exhaust, old exhaust bolted up there, and basically I've cut off this flange, so I'm going to bolt this flange up. Just got to line it up and then tack weld it, take it off, and then weld all the way around so we have a complete exhaust. Alright, so the exhaust is bolted on. As you can see, basically this plate here I've inverted, so I'm going to bolt it up upside down, because if it's the right way up, how it was before, it's just going to get in the way there. It's too close. So by flipping it upside down, you get some clearance. So I'm just going to be bolting, or welding at least, a plate that comes down to here, welding it onto there and bolting it up those holes there. As you can see here, I've made this bracket that slides onto there, and basically all I've got to do now is just weld it onto the exhaust so that it'll not only hold the exhaust but pull it up slightly. With the exhaust all mounted up, welded together, I think it's time to start this thing and then have a listen to how it sounds. Just taking for a test drive. I've ordered a dose pipe off of eBay, so the dose isn't quite there yet. Having said that though, guys, the Screamer pipe is sounding pretty nice when you get on boost. I still need to give this car a tune. It's not running quite right, obviously because of the bigger turbo, new dump pipe, that sort of thing. But yeah, when you get on boost, you might be able to hear the Screamer. Woo! How's that, eh? What an absolute weapon, guys. It sounds awesome. Turbo setup looks great. Like I said, I've got a dose pipe, a 4-inch stainless that's coming in the mail, so I'll try and make that work so the dose sounds a little bit better, then plumb it into the snorkel. Guys, subscribe. If you're watching this video and you've watched all my other videos, please subscribe if you haven't already. You guys want to know what happened here, check out this episode, and I'll see you next time. Catch ya.